are going to be prepping our pork picnic shoulder here. It's got a nice big one. This is about 10 pounds. I'm gonna go ahead and get it prepped, and tomorrow morning, real early, we're gonna throw it on the smoker and give it a good 12-hour smoke so it'll be ready for dinner tomorrow. I'm also gonna be smoking at the same time, just our standard pork shoulder, but I couldn't find one of these big enough that I wanted, so ended up with the picnic. We're gonna see if we can get it nice and tender just like the pork butt and kind of go from there. So I went ahead and just trimmed off some of the bottom already, some of the veiny parts that we don't want on there. And I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of serrate the top of the skin just so that way some heat and everything can get in there, and it'll help cook down that fat. But also I'm gonna hopefully try and get a little bit of crispiness coming out of that skin. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my knife here. And I want a slightly deeper cut than what I would do if I was gonna say roast this in the oven. I really wanna make sure that heat and those flavors can get down into that top of that pork. So we're just gonna go through that layer of skin here. It's pretty thick. We're gonna rotate it, and I'm gonna go across it the same way. This will make it look pretty on top too as it's cooking. It's gonna get pretty dark because we are doing a 12-hour smoke, but it should still give it some nice flavor. My favorite part of a pork picnic is the crispy skin on top, so I am not gonna be cutting this off. Seems there's a lot of debate about how people do this. A lot of people do cut the skin off. A lot of people leave it on. We're just gonna kind of wing it, see what happens. My friends aren't too picky and they like food, so I don't anticipate getting too many complaints from them. All right, so we got our nice checkered there. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of yellow mustard just to use as our binder for this, if I can get it open. All right. Don't need a ton, just something to get our bread to stick to quite nicely. I'm gonna kind of get in between those gaps too, because I want to get spices in there. And we're gonna get this flipped over. Add a little bit more. All right. Got a good layer there, just nice and thin. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands and get our spices opened up. All right, so today I'm gonna try a new spice. I've never tried this before. It's by Killer Hogs Barbecue, which is Malcolm Reed. He does a ton of great smoking videos that I like to watch. A lot of good information on those. And this is one of his spices that he sells. They sell it at my local Walmart. It's actually the most reasonably priced spice there was too, so that was kind of a nice surprise. But we're gonna go ahead and give this a try. Get it opened up here. Gosh, today cats are not my friend. All right, there we go. And we're just gonna load this on. I like a lot of flavor and I want a nice bark on this, so I am loading it up. Try and get it in those cracks a little bit. While I'm smoking it, I'll go back in and add more as these fat starts to separate, and that'll just give us some nice flavor in there too. All right. I'm going to flip it over. Get the bottom side. Make sure you're getting all those layers. Don't want to miss any. Get the top, and the sides, and one more side here. Add a little bit extra over here. All right, so I'm just gonna let that sit. We're gonna put it in the fridge and leave it for about 12 hours, maybe 12, 15 hours, and then we'll get that thrown on the smoker. Real quick, I'm gonna do the same to my Boston pork butt. I'm just gonna basically rub it down with some mustard and throw some seasoning all over it. There shouldn't need to be much trimming on this because it's already been trimmed by the butcher. So once I get that together, I'm gonna go ahead and just put them in my container here and get them sitting side by side, and we'll come back tomorrow morning around 4 a.m., pull them out the fridge, let them start warming up a little bit to room temperature, and I will get the smoker preheated and we'll get these thrown on, well, the big one thrown on at around 4:30 a.m. So that way it'll get a full 12-hour smoke and it'll be ready for an early dinner with our friends, hopefully for like 6 o'clock is what we'll be aiming for. So stay tuned. All right, checking on our pork here. It's been on the grill for just under 3 hours. I got it put on this morning at about 4:30 a.m. I'm just coming to check on it. I've got a mixture of 50-50 pineapple juice with apple cider vinegar. I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a light mist. This will help keep the meat nice and moist from drying out, as well as keeping it a little bit, helping it stay tender. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate my pork as well. I like to keep the meat on a nice little wire rack as I'm cooking it, and that just helps it so I can slide it on the grill here nice and easy. So it's getting some nice color on it. The fat's starting to render down a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and leave this on here for another couple hours, and then I'll do another mist and another rotation. All right, so we just went ahead and added in our small pork butt. I did it with the fat side down. That way the heat the fat kind of gets protected from the heat. You'll also notice that I have both of my pieces pushed to each side. That's because the heat on this smoker comes up right from the middle, and that kind of just helps keep it directly from that heat. We just did another half or quarter rotation of the big shoulder, and I just misted it again with our 50-50. It's probably about the second or third time I've misted it, or probably the third time I've misted it about every couple hours, just to kind of keep some moisture in it. And I went ahead and put a temperature probe in it too, so we can kind of monitor the temperature. We're about 6 hours in at the moment. Okay, so we are on hour 8. Our pork's kind of sitting hovering at 161, so it's kind of at its plateau right now. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and mist and then rotate, and we are gonna bump the temperature up from 200 to 225 and let it do the rest of its cooking at 225.